Hello, my name is Christie Arkovich. We are here at Arkovich Law in Tampa, Florida, where we practice bankruptcy and student loan law. And I wanted to tell everyone we had a not really a luncheon with the Clearwater Bar Association here in Tampa Bay area about really bankruptcy and student loans and what kind of changes we were seeing and going to see in the future. Here in the Middle District, we have a program called Student Loan Management program, basically. And it was passed and put into effect by an administrative order back in late 2019. And as you know, we had COVID shortly thereafter in March of 2020. And so everyone with a federal student loan went on pause at that time. So not that many people took advantage of the student loan management program because there was no need, there was no payment required for most of the loans. And so now we're seeing that payments are once again going to be required. You've probably received notices that interest will be accruing on August 1st. Anyone has maybe received new payment notices from your services and so forth. Keep in mind that if you are on a saved forbearance, you don't have to do anything. You can remain on the forbearance. There's no payment due. It's just that interest will accrue starting August 1st. And so what we've been telling people for a few months now has been go ahead and get on a shift to a different income-driven plan like IBR, income-based repayment, simply because you can start accruing time towards forgiveness. Now, only do that if you can afford a payment, though. If you have other debt, credit card debt, car loans, things like that, maybe pay those down or pay those off first while you're on forbearance. Save some money to get rid of those other consumer debts. But if things are not working for you and you just have too much money that's going out and not enough money that's coming in, you may want to consider a bankruptcy option. We are seeing drastic changes in bankruptcy that we think that maybe going forward, that might be the best pathway for someone with too much debt. Think about it. With a Chapter 7 or 13, the 7 lasts 90 days, the 13 is a longer reorganization plan, 3 to 5 years. Basically, what you're doing is you're getting rid of the extra debt, the credit card debt, the extra stuff. If your car is hugely underwater, you can turn it in, you can get another car. There's different things that we can help that way. But with student loans, it's interesting because private student loans, if you went to a vocational school or if your education was beyond the cost of attendance, I talked last couple of weeks to a few folks that went to Caribbean medical schools. Those are what we call non-Title IV schools. They're not eligible for federal funding. They have private loans. And most of those private loans are dischargeable. And so there's an opportunity perhaps to think about a bankruptcy option to get rid of excessive private loan student debt. A lot of it has very high interest rates. These did not have co-borrowers. Keep in mind that a co-borrower is an issue because they are not filing bankruptcy with you. And so they would still owe the debt. But you can protect them. In Chapter 13, we have a co-debtor stay, where there cannot be any negativity towards that other person, that co-debtor, whether it be collection actions and so forth. And then what we do is we try to settle with that co-debtor that didn't file bankruptcy so that they are not impaired. Their credit's not impaired. Their life is not impaired by the student loan that maybe you went to college for. And so we can often address private student loans. We can also file objections to proofs of claim. In Chapter 13, we can object to the amounts claimed, the ownership, the statute of limitations, all kinds of things. Those orders will survive and they can be used in state court later to show your side of the story, what it is that you really owe, why it is that they don't own the debt or they've waited too long to sue and they've gone past the statute of limitations. For federal student loans, interestingly, there was a program announced. It's basically guidance. November of 2022. Now, since then, we've been able to do an attestation form in an adversary proceeding, which is basically another lawsuit filed in the bankruptcy. And we argue that this debt is an undue hardship because of all these reasons. One of the nice things is that that's a simplified way of doing it. We don't have to go through all the discovery and depositions and things like that. At least they have the option to do that if they want to, but usually they don't. And what it is this attestation form is sent to the Department of Ed. Then they make a recommendation. It goes down to the Department of Justice and eventually to the judge. What's interesting is that we are seeing that reactivated now. That program was initially began under the Trump 1.0 administration. Will it survive? Normally, I'm saying that guidance will not, rule changes will not, laws will. However, this program appears to have the guardrails in place that we think that it is very likely to survive. It's actually restarted now, just recently, where folks are getting discharges, full discharges. And what's nice about the attestation program is that it has these presumptions of discharge that didn't previously exist. If you're 65 years of age or older, if you have an injury that impacts your ability to earn, not necessarily a disability, but just an injury that impacts your ability to earn. If you didn't get a degree for which you went to school for, if you've been unemployed for a long period of time, those kinds of things can be presumptions now that they can be opposed by the other side, but that's a step forward that we didn't used to have. So we're seeing federal loan discharges, partial or full. We're seeing private loan discharges, also settlements. You can reach a settlement on a private loan at a drastically reduced interest rate, a drastically reduced principal amount with a reasonable, affordable payment going forward, maybe for 20 years, but if it's $50 or $100, who really cares? It's no big deal. Versus the $750 to $1,000 payments that we're easily seeing outside of bankruptcy, where maybe $5 is going to principal and you owe as much, if not more, after 10 years of repayment. That's what we're seeing outside of bankruptcy. So don't forget about your bankruptcy options to address either federal or private student loans. Even though, like I said, some of these programs have been in existence for 2, 3 years now, they haven't been utilized because of the pause, because of the soft start that didn't require payments for the first year after the pause ended. Those kinds of things now have started to stop. We've started to see revisiting of collection that started again on May 5th, I think, of this year. We're starting to see garnishment, Social Security offsets that started again here this summer. We're starting to see interest accrual begin again August 1st. These things are all going to lead to perhaps larger student loan payments. And if you're not happy with the options outside of bankruptcy, consider your options in bankruptcy. You might be pleasantly surprised. A lot of bankruptcy attorneys don't know that these things exist, so be sure to contact someone who's knowledgeable about student loans to either get involved with the bankruptcy, file the bankruptcy, or at least make some recommendations that you can then take to your bankruptcy attorney and suggest, hey, I know I can do these things. Will you do these for me? All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Please hit subscribe if you don't mind. Do take a look at our blog. We will have some specific material coming out on the BBB in the next few weeks. I wanted to put it more on our blog because it is quite a lot and it's quite detailed, more than just an overview kind of thing like these videos. So hope you all have a wonderful day, and our blog can be reached at arkovichLaw.com. Just hit blog and go down from there. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.